Night fell over the eastern coast of the United States, and most people were settling into their evening routines. Street lights glimmered over quiet roads, and the city of Boston seemed calm, as if nothing unusual could ever disturb its rhythm. In homes across the country, families sat together, watched television, or prepared meals. Children laughed, dogs barked, and somewhere far above the earth a strange fleet of ships was moving silently. No one noticed them at first. The stars twinkled normally, and the moon hung in the sky like a pale coin. Then small streaks of light appeared, bright lines cutting across the heavens. Some thought they were meteors or perhaps satellites re-entering the atmosphere. Others took out their phones and started filming, sharing what they saw on social media. The lights grew brighter and multiplied. Soon entire constellations were blocked by massive objects, hovering with impossible precision. In Washington, D.C., the president and his advisors gathered in the Situation Room. Military officers stood tense, hands gripping the edges of tables, eyes glued to screens. "What are we looking at?" asked the president, his voice low but urgent. Colonel Jameson, a tall man with gray streaks in his hair, pointed at one of the monitors. "Madam President, these are not satellites or meteors. These are ships, large ships, thousands of them. They are positioned above every major city in the world." The room went silent. A deep, tense silence filled the air. The words sank in slowly. Ships, above every major city. Humans had never faced anything like this before. Across the Pacific, in Tokyo, similar meetings were happening. Military leaders stared at screens, their fingers frozen above keyboards. In London, Paris, Beijing, and New Delhi, the same fear spread. Something was happening, and it was global. This was not an accident. This was not a natural phenomenon. On the streets, people began to panic. Cars honked as traffic stopped. Some tried to leave cities, but there was nowhere to go. The ships were everywhere. Their metallic hulls glimmered faintly in the night, and faint lights pulsed along their surfaces. There was no sound, no noise of engines, no signal that could be picked up by radar. The presence alone was terrifying, and then a signal appeared. Across every device on the planet, from smartphones to televisions, a voice spoke. It was clear, calm, and completely alien. "People of Earth, we are the Kraith Dominion. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender and your species will survive. Resist and you will be destroyed." The message repeated in dozens of languages, perfectly translated. Governments scrambled to respond. Panic spread faster than any virus. Social media exploded with speculation, fear, and disbelief. Many thought it was a hoax. Others knew instinctively that humanity was facing its first true test. In Boston, General Laura Bennett stood outside a command bunker. She had been briefed moments before by the President and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Her long coat flapped in the wind as she looked at the night sky. "They are huge," she muttered to herself. She had seen many things in her career, but nothing like this. These ships were taller than mountains and longer than any aircraft carrier. The technology radiated power, but she did not panic. Panic had no place in leadership. "Get me the global commanders," she said into her radio. "Yes, General," replied her aide. "They're on their way." Meanwhile, in a small lab on the moon, Ethan Cole stared at his screens in disbelief. He had been part of a research team working quietly on what was called Project Iron Sky. The project had been secret for decades, a collection of satellites and defense systems designed to protect Earth from large-scale threats. Most people thought it was just a scientific experiment, but Ethan knew its real purpose. "Ethan, are you seeing this?" asked Maria Lewis, his colleague, her voice tense over the communication line. "It's happening. The ships, they're everywhere." Ethan rubbed his eyes. "I know, activate the early defense protocols. Let's see what we have." Back on Earth, the Kraith ships began to move. They did not attack immediately. Instead, they hovered silently, their presence like a shadow over the world. But then, in Tokyo, a city block was destroyed with a single pulse of energy. In New York, a skyscraper shook violently as its windows exploded inward. The world realized that the Kraith were not bluffing, yet not all humans panicked. General Bennett had already mobilized the military. Fighter jets scrambled from air bases and naval fleets positioned themselves along strategic points. But even the most advanced weapons on Earth were no match for the Kraith ships' defenses. Missiles burned out before reaching their targets. Lasers fizzled against invisible shields. The humans were fighting with skill, but the technology gap was immense. "Stay calm," General Bennett said firmly. addressing her officers. They underestimate us, and that is our advantage. Across the Atlantic, the Galactic Council observed the events. From their high orbit around a distant star, representatives of countless alien civilizations watched Earth's broadcast. They had faced the Kraith before. Every world the Kraith touched had fallen quickly. Cities destroyed, populations enslaved or wiped out. They expected the same from Earth, but something was different. Even before the first human missiles fired, the Council sensed something strange, something they could not explain. Humans did not tremble. They did not collapse under fear. Even in panic, their resolve was visible. In the command bunker, General Bennett coordinated attacks with precision. She used human ingenuity, strategy, and surprise tactics. She ordered small, coordinated strikes at the ship's weak points, testing defenses. And while losses were heavy, the Kraith could not easily destroy all opposition. Humanity adapted quickly, learning faster than the aliens expected. Ethan Cole and his team worked day and night. Project Iron Sky was designed to create an adaptive defense system. Satellites in orbit could redirect energy, block attacks, and even counteract incoming weapons. It was not perfect, but it gave humans hope. "Laura," Ethan said over a secure line, "we may be able to slow them down. If we combine our orbital systems with your ground defenses, we could give the cities a fighting chance." General Bennett smiled grimly. "Then let's do it. We don't have the luxury of waiting." As Earth's forces began to fight back, the Kraith commander Vorak grew angry. His massive hand rested on the controls of his flagship. The humans were faster than expected, more organized than anticipated. Their weapons were crude, but their tactics were clever. He had expected fear and surrender. Instead, he saw courage, and courage was dangerous. "Destroy them all," Vorak commanded, his voice cold and commanding. "Leave nothing alive." But the humans did not give up. Fighter jets, tanks, drones, and orbital weapons worked together. Civilians were evacuated from cities wherever possible. Scientists and engineers raced to improve weapons and shields. And above it all, General Bennett coordinated every move with calm determination. Even though the Kraith had technology far beyond human understanding, the humans had something the aliens did not: imagination, unpredictability, and the refusal to surrender. Small victories began to accumulate. A squadron of fighters managed to take down a small ship using a decoy maneuver. A coastal defense laser destroyed a missile aimed at a city. The aliens were surprised by these actions. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council continued to watch, their screens filled with images of burning cities and fighting forces. Some council members whispered that the humans might not survive. Others watched in amazement. This species, small and seemingly insignificant, was already showing signs of strategy and courage that few had expected. In Boston, General Bennett looked at the map of the world. Red dots showed attacks, blue dots showed human positions. It was not perfect. Humanity was losing in some areas, but she saw hope. "We are not beaten yet," she said. "We are Earth, and we will fight for our home." As night passed into dawn, the first reports came in of cities still holding, defenses still active, and civilians surviving. And though the skies above were filled with alien ships, humanity was already fighting back. The world had changed forever, but one thing was clear: the Kraith Dominion had underestimated the people of Earth. Ethan Cole looked at the Earth from the moon. The blue planet glowed with sunlight breaking over the horizon. He clenched his fist and said, "They think they have us, but they have no idea what humans are capable of." And somewhere in the dark expanse of space, the Kraith commander realized that his plan to conquer Earth would not be easy. He had faced many worlds, but never one like this. And for the first time he felt something alien to him: fear. The first light of dawn broke over the Pacific, illuminating the remnants of the first night of the Kraith attack. Cities were damaged, fires burned in some districts, but the human spirit had not broken. General Laura Bennett stood in her command center, studying the reports streaming in from across the globe. She rubbed her forehead and then squared her shoulders. Humanity was alive. That was enough to start fighting back. "Status report," she said, her voice steady. Colonel Ramirez, her deputy, spoke without hesitation. "Air defense is holding, ma'am. Ground units are scattered but intact. Civilians are being moved to safe zones. Our orbital weapons are ready for coordination with the moon base." "Good," Bennett replied. "Keep the pressure on. We will not let them take any more of our cities without a fight." On the moon, Ethan Cole and Maria Lewis worked frantically. Project Iron Sky had survived the first wave of attacks, but it needed constant adjustment. The Kraith ships were testing human defenses, probing for weak points. Every pulse of energy and every maneuver of the alien fleet was carefully recorded by Ethan's system. "Maria, look at this," Ethan said, pointing at a cluster of graphs. "The Kraith are expecting panic. They are counting on us to react predictably. If we do the opposite of what they expect, we can gain the advantage." Maria's eyes widened. "You mean, use their assumptions against them?" "Yes," Ethan said. "We can redirect their attacks, confuse their sensors, and slow them down. The more we force them to adapt, the weaker they become." Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Mia Torres led a squadron of fighter jets in a daring mission over New York. The city was still under threat, but she had a plan. Her team flew low between buildings, using the urban landscape to hide their approach. The Kraith sensors were advanced, but they were not perfect. "Stay close," Mia said over the radio. "Wait for my signal." The Kraith ship hovered over Midtown, a massive shadow blotting out the sun. Its energy cannons glowed red, ready to fire. Mia gave the signal. Her squadron split into different directions, forcing the alien sensors to track multiple targets at once. Then, the human satellites activated. Energy pulses shot from orbit, temporarily disrupting the ship's shields. The fighters seized the moment, firing concentrated missiles at its weak points. Sparks flew across its hull, and for the first time a Kraith ship fell from the sky. Back at the command center, General Bennett allowed herself a small nod of satisfaction. The humans were fighting back, and small victories were possible. Across the globe, the same pattern repeated. In London, engineers activated hidden defense turrets that had been built decades earlier. In Beijing, a coordinated strike by drones disabled a Kraith patrol ship. In Rio de Janeiro, civilians used their knowledge of the city to help soldiers guide attacks in narrow streets. Every human in some way contributed to the defense. The Galactic Council watched in shock. They had expected humans to crumble within hours. They had expected Earth to be another easy conquest, another lesson for the galaxy. But humans were different. They were unpredictable. They were resilient. And that resilience made the Kraith hesitate. Within the Kraith command ship, Vorak's anger grew. "These humans are not like the others," he growled. His clawed hand slammed against the control panel. "They learn. They adapt. Destroy them all. I do not care how many ships we lose. They will fall." But even as he spoke, his officers whispered concerns. The humans had never been fully observed before. They did not surrender. They improvised. And worst of all, they fought with courage. Courage was not a variable the Kraith had ever accounted for. On the moon, Ethan and Maria initiated the next phase of Project Iron Sky. "We can't just defend," Ethan said. "We need to strike back in ways they don't expect. If we show them humans are capable of offense, not just defense, they will hesitate." Maria nodded. "Do we have enough energy for a long-range strike?" Ethan smiled faintly. "We do. It's risky, but we can create a pulse that will interfere with their sensors and energy systems. It will buy Earth time." Back on Earth, General Bennett coordinated with Ethan. "Prepare your system. Once we're synchronized, we'll launch a counterattack," she said. In New York, Mia and her pilots waited. They could see the alien fleet regrouping, preparing another wave of attacks. Civilians were moved to shelters, and the city's emergency systems were at maximum capacity. "Ready?" Mia said into her headset. "Launch on my signal," Bennett replied. A pulse of energy shot from the moon. It spread across the skies, reaching the alien ships like invisible fingers. Systems faltered, sensors flickered, and weapons misfired. The Kraith ships were confused. For the first time, humans had gained a clear advantage. "Now!" Bennett shouted. Fighter jets swooped in. Missiles hit the ships, and humans on the ground fired wherever possible. In London, Paris, Tokyo, and Rio, similar attacks weakened the alien fleet further. Even though many human units were destroyed, the Kraith were forced to retreat in some areas. The Council observed in stunned silence. These humans had survived the first night. They had adapted, coordinated, and struck back. No species had ever done this against the Kraith. Some council members began to reconsider their view of Earth. In Boston, General Bennett addressed her officers. "We've done well, but this is only the beginning. They will not give up easily. Humanity must continue to fight, and we must be smarter, faster, and braver than ever." Mia's squadron returned from the mission, battered but alive. "Sir, we managed to down 3 ships and disrupt their sensors." "The city is safe for now," she reported. Ethan, monitoring from the moon, added, "The Kraith are learning from us too. They are adapting, but slower than we are. If we keep this pace, we can continue to hold them off and possibly turn the tide." In homes across the world, people watched live feeds of battles. Fear was still present, but hope began to grow. Humans realized that they could fight back. Children clung to their parents, but they smiled when they saw pilots taking down alien ships. Families prayed not just for survival, but for victory. The Kraith, meanwhile, began to change their strategy. Vorak ordered larger formations and more concentrated energy attacks. But the humans were ready. General Bennett had anticipated their moves. She used the terrain, cities, and remaining defenses to counter every maneuver. Humans fought in ways the Kraith could not predict. And every failure on the alien side strengthened human morale. Ethan and Maria worked non-stop. Project Iron Sky began to operate semi-independently, adapting to alien movements faster than any human could calculate. Satellites moved, redirected energy, and launched automated strikes where needed. Even without direct human input, the system protected cities and coordinated attacks. At the Kraith flagship, Vorak banged his claws in frustration. "This is impossible. They are weak, yet they strike as if they are stronger than any empire we have known." On Earth, General Bennett smiled grimly. "They may have technology, but they do not have our resolve." In New York, Mia prepared for another sortie. The city had survived the first wave, but the Kraith would return. Her pilots were exhausted, but they knew what was at stake. "We keep fighting," Mia said. "We survive, we adapt, and we win." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council began to debate. Some members feared that humans would soon become a threat not only to the Kraith but to the galaxy itself. Others argued that humans had earned their place among the stars through courage and resilience. No one could deny it. The humans were extraordinary. Night fell again on Earth. Fires burned in damaged cities, but human forces were still standing. Across continents, soldiers, engineers, pilots, and civilians prepared for the next wave of attacks. Hope and fear coexisted in equal measure. Humanity had survived the first onslaught, and they were ready to fight again. Ethan Cole looked down at Earth from the moon. The blue and green planet shone in the darkness of space. "They think we are weak," he said softly. "They do not know what humans are capable of." General Bennett, back in the command center, spoke to her officers. "This is just the beginning. But remember this, we are Earth. We are not alone, and we will not fall." And somewhere high above the world, the Kraith fleet regrouped. They had faced resistance before, but never like this. The humans were not panicked. They were not obedient. They were creative, fast, and determined. And for the first time in his life, Vorak realized something terrifying. Humans were not just another species. They were a force to be reckoned with.